Rite of the Nine, featuring contest mode versions of Ghost of the Deep, Spire of the Watcher, and Prophecy, and subsequently updated loot pools for all of their weapons that are going to be very desirable chases, is on the horizon. So I not only want to showcase some builds that are going to work particularly well in these dungeons so that you can get them assembled so you're prepared for Rite of the Nine when it drops on day one. But I also want to run through all three of these dungeons solo today just to reacquaint everyone with the mechanics and all of like the cheesy tips and tricks that you can use to make all of the encounters easier, the jumping puzzles easier and faster, the best weapons that we can use for all of the particular bosses in every encounter, and all of that good stuff. But we're going to have a little fun with this and potentially do some emblem giveaways along with what we are doing here today on live stream, twitch.tv/Mactics, by the way, where we are recording this live. I have a PO box, and I have been recently getting into TCG very, very much. Specifically, Magic the Gathering. I'm trying to collect every single Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering card ever made. And I actually got a package in my PO box today from one Mr. Hootzifer, shout out to him for sending this, of a particular card. I do not know what card is inside of here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to open this up and I'm going to show you guys what the card is, but I am not going to look at it. I then have to guess what the card is by the end of our 3 solo dungeon runs, and if I get it correct, then I win. If I get it incorrect, then I have to give away 5 emblems. As we go through all of these solo dungeons, for any of them that I solo flawlessly on the first try, I am allowed 1 yes or no question to the chat about the card per solo flawless that I accomplish. So if I perform exceptionally well, I can get a maximum of 3 yes or no questions to help try and discover what this is so I can successfully guess it by the end of the run. You guys got it locked in? You can see it? Okay. I think it's only natural that we start off with Prophecy. Given that this is the Rite of the Nine, let's do the 9 themed dungeon first in Prophecy. I've already, for the most part, got my build set up. It's a variation of what I believe to be probably the strongest hunter build this entire episode, with the Inmost Light Surturacne Relativism Hunter Exotic class item. Of course, if you do not have access to Hunter Exotic class items yet, my Discord server is going to be the #1 place that you want to go to find a teammate so you can get at least 1 run of the mission in. That way, moving forward, you can begin to buy them from Zur every weekend with strange coins anytime he shows up and sells them. It's a lot easier to get your desired rules as well these days, considering that you can go to the Pale Heart of the Traveler and interact with the Ghost Vendor and select a specific perk for attunement, so you're much more likely to get drops with that specific perk. Me personally, I would recommend you select Inmost Light as the attunement, because Inmost Light plus any of the other 8 combinations that can be in slot 2 is exceptional. What I've got going here so far to start out is I'm just going to walk in with Tether, just because I don't think Nighthawk is going to be the best option for the very first encounter of Prophecy. Gambler's Dodge, of course. We're going to go Threaded Spike and Grapple Grenade. Grapple Grenade and Threaded Spike synergize exceptionally well when you have the Faceted Blessing, which is an incredible way to survive on Prismatic Hunter. It basically means you have 2 different ways to activate a powered melee final blow and thus activate health regeneration, which always feels really, really nice. We're going to start with Stylish Executioner and Winter Shroud. However, I'm probably going to at some point experiment with swapping these out for, maybe I'll get the Winter Shroud out for maybe Ascension. Ascension has been feeling really, really good with the new amplified buffs plus the tweaks to Ascension that allow it to actually activate your class abilities. So for example, using Ascension will actually proc Gambler's Dodge, give me back my Threaded Spike. And so I am going to be a little curious how that feels. You know what? In fact, let's run it up with Ascension right out the get-go. I really want to see how this feels with Amplified. And considering that Ascension jolts as well, we don't really lose out on the fact that our second aspect can give us a way to debuff enemies to proc Stylish Executioner when killing them, because instead of slowing nearby targets, we're simply jolting them, which still is going to count for Stylish Executioner, so we're good to go in that regard. Faceted Protection, we're going to keep that. More survivability. Faceted Dawn, bonus weapon damage, we're definitely keeping that. We already talked about the benefits of Faceted Blessing, and we love Faceted Purpose. Faceted Solitude is really nice for the Severing Burst, especially in contest mode content, because it just cuts the damage of enemies basically in half. I think it's 52% specifically if you have the Disruptor Spike artifact mod on, which will of course be available all throughout Rite of the Nine, since it's going to be around through the entire episode. But I am wondering if there is an angle for something else potentially could maybe go Passive Hope while we have an elemental buff or class ability regenerates more quickly. It just ties in so well with Ascension. And then also we have Dawn, which will give us Radiant to proc Passive Hope, and we will have Purpose, which will give us Overshield on Orb of Power pickup. So we have so many ways to get buffs. Let's try it out with Hope and see how that feels. As far as mods go, obviously we're doing the solo flawless, but you're going to be doing contest right of the 9 in team. So I would probably recommend a heavy ammo finder and scout. We're going to go with a siphon matching our primary ammo weapon, down in the arms, loader matching our primary ammo weapon in conjunction with bolstering detonation and focusing strike. Powered melee attack counts for both our grapple melee plus our threaded spike, and then bonus class ability RG is super nice. We can get more mileage out of Ascension. Down on the chest piece, dampener and 2 elemental resistances. Down on the boots, I always love Absolution, Innervation, and a scavenger mod matching our heavy ammo weapon. Although for more boss-centric encounters, I might consider switching these for some surges instead, matching my heavy ammo element. And then down on the class item, Reaper Powerful Attraction Bomber, you know the drill. In a situation where if on the boots we swap these for surges, then I might swap this Powerful Attraction for a time dilation so I can get more mileage out of the surges during a DPS phase without having to worry about going and scavenge extra orbs, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. As far as weapons goes, I'm going to start off with Lord of Wolves just because it feels absolutely disgustingly OP this episode, and I don't think that's going to change when we get in the contest mode. And then I've been loving this Mirror Imago, the seasonal SMG. You get one with Subsistence and Sword Logic. It feels so incredible. Really been loving this weapon. I should probably put a nice pretty shader on it though. All right, first encounter. I don't think this gives loot in the regular version, and if that remains true with oh god, oh, can you imagine if I got blown up there? If that remains true for Right of the 9, then we're just gonna go up the chute. The way you do that, by the way, is at least I mean, there's a lot of ways you can do it pretty easily now because the skimmer, you can just spam boost all the way up. But Grapple Grenade makes that a complete joke. I think you can also do it with Hunter on, or sorry, not Hunter. Warlock on Heat Rises also makes things pretty easy. I also want to teach people how to double dunk here is the #1 thing I want to show off, because anyone who's going to end up trying to farm this, double dunking is going to be your best friend. Which is when you collect all of the motes, and you get 2 of the pylons with 1 cast of the thing. And the way you do that is literally, all you have to do from an elevation perspective is be above both of them and kind of in between. So the way I like to play it, generally speaking, is I get on top of the higher one, and then I just kind of like jump up. And I actually fell a little too low to get the higher one. So what happened was my body, when the actual like explosion went off, my body was a little bit below that one, which means it didn't count for it. So I needed to jump a little bit higher or activate it a little sooner. So unfortunately, I cannot show the double dunk unless I do not get a 1 phase. But I have a feeling we probably will get a 1 phase. Because 1 phase shouldn't be too bad. All we got to do is hit the tether. We'll go ahead and hit our Transcendence. And I actually like having a sword as my heavy ammo for this, especially if I'm going to be doing DPS with Lord of Wolves. In any situation where you almost get knocked off by the boss, just pull out the sword and boom, you're right back on the platform. I'm almost out of special ammo. I honestly should have had a solar scavenger on. Would have made my life a lot easier. Alrighty. Not a 1 phase, but all good. Get the opportunity to actually get a successful double dunk this time. And we'll hop up here. So we'll get up a little bit. Excellent. And that right there, as you can see, is the double dunk. All you got to do is be above both of them and like just in between both of them, and you'll get through this encounter way faster. I always like to highly recommend as well for this encounter, trying to kill all of the scions before you go into a DPS phase, just so they're not bugging you. And then we'll let the Lord of Wolves do its thing. Trying to hit his face when I can, but obviously he's rotating a little bit with me, so got to take the real estate that he's given me. But nice and easy peasy. First encounter done just like that. Now for the second encounter, we're probably going to want to have some sort of long-range weapon to deal with the hobgoblin snipers. I wish I had a scout rifle on me right now, but I don't. So I think what I can do is I might just go double special, to be completely honest, because I don't need a crazy amount of ammo. Reason I really like the sniper is because in every zone you get 3 taken hobgoblin snipers that are extremely dangerous. So I just really like having the sniper. Take all 3 of them out. And just like that, we're through, baby. On to the hexahedron, which is honestly a patience test more than anything, but I do have a tip for this. Probably don't really need the sword anymore. I'll go like a machine gun, and then I think a hand cannon will be enough range. And then obviously we'll want to swap up our mods to match. I just realized something. I haven't used Ascension a single time. Let's fix that. Okay, so I see Toland right there. Light moats. Step 1, kill both of the taken hobgoblins. Okay, so here's a situation where sometimes you get Toland on the roof. It's just kind of unlucky. But whenever you do end up in this situation, I recommend picking a pillar of light that coincides with the side of the cube that is not lit up by anything. So for example, I would not want to do this one because I see that's lit up. So I'm going to go for this beam instead. And I'm going to wait for my health to regen before I get on, just because while you are sitting on there teleporting up, the hobgoblins can, or the enemies rather in the arena can still shoot at you if there are any. Something good to be careful of. And now I see we've got light moats, and something very important that we need to make sure that we're keeping in mind. Whenever we kill a knight, that is going to spawn another hobgoblin. And if you dunk, if you wait long enough, the hobgoblins will despawn. So you're just a little patient. Always trying to make sure to weave in my melees on squishier targets to make sure that I can take advantage of the Faceted Blessing healing if I get a final blow with that melee. And then we're gonna scoot. Oh! Mistakes are made. Oh, did that count for that? Okay, note to self, make sure you are very far away when dunking moats that you do not want dunked. I think this might take us to final area, boss area. I haven't used my machine gun at all, by the way. Should be final area. Yep, and we just got these 2 Centurions, which Lord of Wolves makes rather simple. And that'll be that. So now we're going to go back to the Eager Edge Sword in preparation for Rainbow Road. Because if you have a skimmer for Rainbow Road, good golly, your life gets about 900 times easier. Okay, so nice and easy. We're just going to go and hit the glide. And I noticed like kind of some weird behavior with the prophecy zone with skimmers. If you stay too high up, you just randomly explode. And if you fall down for too long, you also randomly explode. So you kind of want to like go back and forth until you run out of energy on your skimmer, and then you actually get rid of the skimmer and immediately pull a brand new one out before your old one blows up. And then once you kind of like get to the track, I kind of like ditching the skimmer and just kind of like falling all the way down to catch my bearings. Maybe even using a grapple grenade. Because sometimes the jumps can be a little weird when you get off your sparrow / skimmer. Sometimes it just like doesn't refund you a hunter jump or something like that. So I really like just kind of taking my time a little bit. Taking out all these Vandal snipers to make sure that they're not sniping at me when I get on my next skimmer. And then once I get here, we can go ahead and continue with our little skimmer tech. Again, we're not falling for too long of a time because for whatever reason, you just go... So we fall like maybe 1, 1, 2, hit the skim again, 1, 2, and then here I actually do kind of want to get off. So we're gonna hit a couple jumps, deal with this Vandal right here. And then honestly, once you get to this location, you're kind of good to just run it out. And then we'll get on over here. Don't really care about all of those Thrall, but actually I see a Tangle that could make killing a bunch of them kind of fun. And then we'll just continue on forward. And now here we are at the final boss room where we're going to mix things up quite a bit. I think Lord of Wolves could work for the final boss, but it's definitely going to be a little riskier, especially on contest mode, considering that, one, he's going to do way more damage to you up close with his stomp and his shotgun. Plus, the idea of, like, him just slapping the portal in your face to teleport you backwards sounds a little finicky. So I think we'd actually be better off going something along the lines of... I definitely want Queenbreaker's bow because of how good particle reconstruction is right now. So I think we'll go maybe a rocket sidearm. We'll stick with our hand cannon, and then we can go our Queenbreaker's bow. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make a swap. I'm going to take off Facet of Hope, and we are going to swap to the Facet of Solitude. Because as we land rapid precision hits with our Queenbreakers, it'll sever the final boss, which means his damage is going to be cut in half against us, which I really, really love. We are then going to swap our tether to Golden Gun Marksman. And what we're going to do right before we go into DPS phase is we're going to take our Relativism and we're going to pop on Nighthawk real fast. So we get a Nighthawk shot during DPS phase. We can still take advantage of Relativism during the intermission phase. Now, I don't know whether or not swap is actually going to be a thing on Rite of the Nine when it releases. If it is actually a thing, probably fine to just go Nighthawk throughout the entire encounter. Or if you value the added survivability a little bit more, you can stick with the Imbos Light Sword Arachne class item and just get the 3-shot Golden Gun, or maybe even stay on Tether if you would like for the debuff to help out your other two teammates. We get a flawless run here. Question number 1 gets to be asked. Let's get these Taken Scions down. Looks like we have triple light. And right after we dunk, we're going to make sure we stay at the dunk location because we are going to get an Ogre right after we dunk. And we definitely want to be careful when dealing with the Ogre. I like this, though. I can grapple to this Tangle. Chuck the Tangle at the Ogre. Let's hit him with Ascension. And he is toast. Wouldn't be completely surprised if those Ogres ended up being subbed out for champions, by the way. And here's our final set of 3 emotes. Now, for the third dunk, we actually don't have to kill the Ogre. Because we can just say, see you later. And hit the portal right away. Make sure all of our juice is reloaded. I like hitting the prismatic right as I head down. Let's get that grenade. Throw the melee to proc Facet of Dawn so we get our Radiant. I forgot to put Nighthawk on. Imagine that. Imagine my embarrassment. Trying to weave in the melee and grenade as much as possible, because it'll allow them to regenerate each other, plus hitting them with the melee over and over again is going to make sure that we're always getting the facets of, whoa. Oh boy. Okay, I actually really want to get a melee here to proc Facet of Blessing. That was a little close. And we're going to hang out right here. As long as I get 50% of his HP, I'm honestly okay with that. I really want to take out these hobgoblins, though. Those long-range hobgoblins can be a real pain. And we're just strafing back and forth. Makes it so his gun basically just never hits. That guy does not have very good aim. We'll hit the Ascension to jolt him and to give us our melee ability back. And then we'll back things up a touch. And then check that out. We have another super. If I had Nighthawk on, it'd actually be... Nah, it wouldn't be that close to a kill. I'm lying to myself. Another fun fact, though, about this, assuming Rite of the Nine has no sorts of timers or anything like that, if you and your teammates want, you can actually sit right here for an infinite amount of time and just, like, let your supers and abilities regen if you would like. There's no rush to get back into the arena if you don't want to rush back into the arena. I also do want to make sure that I have my Arc Scavenger on, so let me throw my Arc Scavenger on. It can also help in a situation like this when you have 0 heavy ammo bullets, if you want to go ahead and throw on the heavy ammo generation mod on your primary ammo weapon. Just help you get some extra heavy. Let's hit the Ascension. I see we have a Darkness. It's actually a triple Darkness situation. So we had triple light at first, now we have triple darkness. So I'm going to get all of these emotes. And then I kind of like this cubby back here. Feels pretty safe. The only thing that's making it not safe right now, in fact, is the boss, who is just spraying me. So if I take him out... Should have done Ascension right there. That's not bad. Scooter on over here. We do have some more Scions, so I want to be a little aware of that, because there's just a lot more enemies up in the arena now. But my destabilizing rounds, rocket sidearm, is going to put in some work onto them. That ogre's done. And my heavy ammo is in a pretty decent spot. 17 rounds. I'm comfortable with 17 rounds, especially considering where the boss's health is. So we'll hit this final one. That's going to allow me to go back in here. And now let's make sure that we don't forget to do our swap. So now we have Nighthawk on. We'll hit for way harder on this guy. Make sure we reload our Queen's Breaker, which I forgot to do, unfortunately, originally. We got our Radiant. And there's our big Nighthawk right there. We honestly should be able to kill him right here on this platform before he goes anywhere. Making sure we're staying strafing so he doesn't end up hitting us. And that is solo flawless. Number 1. Which means I get a question. In my mind, the only possibilities are it's either a Yu-Gi-Oh card or it's a Magic the Gathering card. So I'm just gonna go, question number 1, yes or no, is it a Magic the Gathering card? We get a little more, we'll get a little bit more specific down the line. Yes? Okay. Let's go on to Solo Flawless Dungeon number 2 and see if we can crack the code even further. So for Warlock, Spire of the Watcher, we're going to keep things nice, easy, and simple. Exotic class item, anything with Inmost Light is going to be immaculate for Warlock. If you can get one to line up with something like Spirit of Verity, that is going to be the best possible situation, in my opinion. You could also try to find something like Inmost Light and Star Eater is going to be nice for some of the boss encounters where you want your super to be a little bit more impactful. But I really, really like Inmost Light Verity, and we're going to be going Prismatic Warlock because it's just it's incredible all around for survivability plus damage, which is what you love to see in contest mode content. So if we come here, pretty standard setup. Song of Flame is our panic pop. You could alternatively, if you're a little more confident in your abilities and you don't feel like you're ever going to need a panic pop, you can swap this for a Nova Bomb or a Needle Storm. We're obviously going to go Phoenix Dive, easy heal, easy cure, and just really on demand. Also, lowest base cooldown for our class ability, which is nice for Hellion, which is going to, of course, give us our Solar Mortar. And then you're out of your mind. You're crazy if you're not running Feed the Void on Prismatic Warlock. Any ability gives you Devour. It's Empowered Devour, so double grenade energy refund, full HP heal every single kill. Absolutely incredible. We're gonna go with Vortex Grenade as well to synergize with our Spirit of Verity. You'll see why in just a second. Arcane Needle for the triple melee charges, primarily to take advantage of our Inmost Light. 3 melee charges means 3 on-demand activations to proc our Inmost Light so we can juice up our class ability and grenade cooldowns. Everything feeds into each other. As far as fragments go, Purpose, Restoration on Orb Pickup, Protection, bonus DR, Hope, we basically always have Devour on, so class ability cooldown is going to be significantly increased. Radiant for bonus weapon damage, and absolutely amazing for all encounters, and especially boss encounters. And then Dominance I really like. Void Grenades weaken targets. Obviously we're going Vortex Grenade right here, so easy way to deal some bonus damage to enemies, especially tankier ones and bosses. Now, when I was talking about the Spirit of Verity, Weapon Final Blows grant grenade damage. Specifically, Weapon Final Blows with a damage type matching your grenade grant a stacking grenade damage bonus and improved grenade regeneration. So since we're using a Void Grenade, we need to be using Void Weapons. And it just so happens that this episode, Void Weapons are incredible. As long as you're going Volatile Marksman, Rapid Void Weapon Precision hits, and Rapid Void Weapon Final Blows give you volatile rounds. Plus you got Maligned Harvest, rapidly applying volatile, causes your next instance of Void Weapon damage to create a weakening burst. And then you have Void Flux, defeating weakened targets with a Void Weapon, applies volatile to all nearby targets. Void is insane this season. And so when you pair this up with something like the Funnel Web or the Recluse, Recluse is absolutely amazing because its origin trait will give you melee and grenade energy. And if you go with Funnel Web instead, Vice Stinger is an amazing origin trait for dealing with tankier targets because your mag size is effectively anywhere from 20 to 25% bigger whenever you get Vice Stinger to proc. Then you go with like a Void Heavy Weapon or something, Commemoration, Retrofit Escapade, Void Machine Gun for non-boss encounters, and then maybe a Void Heavy Weapon for boss encounters. It can get really, really crazy. I also really love Wither Horde. I just think generally speaking, it's a really solid feeling weapon. You can go absolutely whatever you want in this slot if you want to trade it out for something else. Totally up to you. As far as mods go, we'll keep it simple. Void Siphon, Heavy Ammo Finder. On the gloves, Void Loader, Bolstering Detonation, Momentum Transfer. On the chest piece, Concussive Dampener. And then for Spire the Watcher, I feel like there's a lot of Void and Solar damage. Void from the Minotaurs and the Cyclopses, and then Solar from the Goblins. Then on boots, Double Void Weapon Surge. Why not? And then on our class item, Reaper Powerful Attraction and Outreach. We don't care that much about Bomber because we get plenty of grenade regeneration through Devour. Outreach kind of helps us soup up our melee regeneration rate, even though we are getting a lot of melee regeneration thanks to Inmost Light. Big thing with Spire of the Watcher, at least for the first encounter, is to make sure that you do not do the final connection until you are ready to do the final connection on all 4. As the final connection actually spawns supplicants. Oh boy. Oh boy. And we don't really want to deal with any supplicants. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of run around. And we're going to get every single chain one away from being done. I highly recommend, by the way, doing at least one run of Spire of the Watcher normal in preparation for Rite of the Nine. Because getting a groove and a rhythm for the layouts of all of the things that you have to shoot, like just getting a rhythm for where they all are, makes you so fast. Okay, I believe we are good. Boom. So right there, I hit all 4. Normally it would spawn supplicants when I complete one of them, but getting all 4 of them ready to go and complete right there just means I get to avoid all the supplicants, which is really, really nice. Right here, we're going to make a swap to an Eager Edge Sword for this jumping puzzle. Swap this to a sniper so we get a little bit of bonus range. Right here, fun fact, if you have your sword, if you don't want to die from like falling down, you can pull your sword out and just kind of swing back a little bit. And it'll slow your momentum, just to make sure you're extra safe. A fun little tip as well for this dungeon, and specifically the electricity linking mechanic. You don't necessarily have to do them in order if you don't want to. Because the way it works is when you shoot them, it activates the electricity on that beam for like 3 seconds. So even though this one is next in the chain, I can shoot this one to turn it on for 3 seconds, and then hit this one. Boom, link, and then since this one was on for that 3 seconds, and then it said, oh, wait a minute, the one before me got turned on as well, that means I can lock in. How actually useful is this piece of knowledge? Not that much. It's like, again, for example, even though that one's next in the chain, you can turn that one on, and then it'll go boom. Very short window of time to be able to pull that off, but it's just a fun little thing on it. For this encounter, honestly, hard to see how it's any angle other than something to bust the eyes, which trace rifles are spectacular at, along with Queen Breaker's bow, along with particle reconstruction. I mean, it's just too good. Honestly, down here, we're probably not gonna... I mean, we'll make use of surges in a team situation, but I'm probably not gonna have a lot of orbs going on in a not team situation. I mean, we can try, right? Obviously. So I think what I'll actually do is I'll pop off Outreach and put on Time Dilation so my surge stacks last for 15 seconds instead of 10, and then see if I can, like, proc Reaper plus Void Siphon in the same go, get 2 orbs, and then walk into DPS phase with those 2 orbs. I think that would be the ideal attempt. And then what's really nice about this setup too is when the boss does its explosion to send you flying back and does a lot of damage to you, you got your Phoenix dive, so you can just go ahead and hit the deck and heal right back up so you don't get knocked off the map and your HP goes right back up. I feel like everyone has a favorite DPS area for this encounter. My personal favorite is that dock right there. So I basically get that one away from being done. And then I finish all of the others. And then I clear out all of the harpies in the sky that could mess with me during DPS phase. And then, like I said, we're going to clear out all the harpies. Having Devour during this process just makes it so easy. And I see I have 28 seconds on my Arctrician, so I know I have plenty of time. Maybe even clean up some of the trash mobs, because why not? And then we'll go DPS. We're going to reload our Trace Rifle, because the Trace Rifle is just so nice for popping all the eyes. I see a couple extra harpies I'd love to kill, but not going to be able to make it happen. I don't know if Song of Flame is the play here, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I think Song of Flame is not smart to have on. Probably should have Nova Bomb, because when I pop Song of Flame, I can't go Prismatic. So here's what I mean when he does his burst. Check this out. Right when he does it, immediately hit the Phoenix Dive, so I'm at 0 risk whatsoever. So falling off, just like that, we're chilling. I am going to try out the Nova Bomb, though. Let me go with the Nova Bomb. That does, unfortunately, reset all my abilities, but I do have Devour up still if I can keep it. No! I forgot that switching super right there would reset every single one of my abilities. I was probably milliseconds away from making the Devour happen. Yeah, once you get in a rhythm with these, and the nice thing too is, on contest mode, when you're in with a team of people, if you as a player have this rotation on lock, you can honestly just do all of this completely solo while your two teammates worry exclusively about ad clear, and I'm just like, I don't really see a world where you wipe if that's kind of the setup that you have. I don't think this weakens him, by the way, but it certainly doesn't do damage to the eyeballs, but yeah, I hit immune on... I don't know why, but the needles do not like to track to where his actual hitbox is. So you kind of need a another enemy. Damage there was not half bad though, right? That was my second DPS phase. I don't really know what I did differently there, but if my first DPS phase was better, we'd be in for a 3 phase at the current moment. Yeah, I'm hitting for 1398, just like I was before, so he definitely can't be weakened in this state. Boom! We did it! Let's go. Honestly, for this upcoming section, I don't think there's really any reason to be on Nova Bomb, so we'll just go back to Song of Flame, and then we can throw the funnel web back on, maybe a machine gun. Go a little Wither Horde. I'm a big Wither Horde fan. Nothing too particularly complicated about this part, thankfully. Nuke all the ads down here. Spawn a bunch of ads up top, one of which will be the Minotaur, so we can get Arctrician. Yep, come on. Hello, my friend. And then I always like killing him and then jumping over here. And then we go... a poop, 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 poop. Whee! Just like that. Okay, so for final boss... I'm not gonna lie. I feel like since he is, like, shooting at us during the entire DPS phase, I think we do want Song of Flame just so we can make sure that he can't kill us because we get so much damage resistance from it, even if that does mean we don't get Prismatic. Obviously, in a team setting, you could probably make a good argument to go pure solar with Well of Radiance, but I do like the survivability that Prismatic presents us. I'm always kind of torn on what to run for DPS for this. I love running Wither Horde because you can just stick the Hydras even on their shields and it counts as tagging them. And then honestly, I think I might experiment with the new Vault of Glass rocket launcher, Hezin Vengeance. I think Envious Arsenal and Bait and Switch. And then instead of going Inmost Verity, I think we put on the Inmost Star Eater. If we do want to go with DPS super, we could try a DPS super. Needlestorm, kind of good for this boss. What makes Needlestorm so good for this boss versus like other supers? I think you could also justify going like a linear fusion rifle with Facet of Solitude and then maybe like an area denial GL. Probably just me, but it feels like it has more damage than the others. Let's get a Solar Scavenger here. Let's get maybe a Solar Surge here. I don't think I'm going to take advantage of it too much, unfortunately, but can't hurt to have it. If we're not going to go a linear fusion rifle, then we can drop this and maybe go... I like this. Heavy Ordnance Regeneration, dealing sustained damage to targets with a heavy machine gun or a rocket launcher, grants damage resistance. So we can slap that sucker on. And then we would go Limit Break if we're on Nova Bomb, honestly, but since we're on Needlestorm right now, I don't want Limit Break because we don't really have a way to get Woven Mail. I suppose the Facet of Purpose would give us Woven Mail. That's only if we manage to pick up an Orb of Power right before DPS phase. And I'd honestly kind of rather have Void Flux. Step 1, the way I like to play this, Wither Horde into that dude. Am I crazy? Aren't these doors supposed to open? What? Now they opened. What the fish was that? Why did they take so long to open? Then we'll shut the doors on him. I do have a stack of armor charge, but I would love another stack. So let me see if I can proc Reaper to generate an orb. Now I have 2 stacks of armor charge. Okay, I'm thinking we go Wither Horde, couple funnel shots, rockets, funnel. I heard the Wither Horde reload. That should also reload the rocket because the Envious Arsenal. Hit our prismatic. Boom, boom, boom. Needle Storm. Double rocket. Taking a little heat here. It's like a quarter. It's not bad. I think my rotation could have been a little bit better also with the rockets. Potentially. 3-phase likely. I think a 4-phase is honestly more likely. I do want to experiment with Nova Bomb though. Okay, let me see if I can get an orb. There's one. If I can get another right here with Reaper. Perfect. I have a decent amount of armor charge. Love that. Boom, boom for the weekend. Hit him a little bit with that. That'll give me my Envious Arsenal. Pop the Prismatic. Bang, bang. Weaken him. Wither Horde. Rocket. Needle Storm. Radiant. Grenade. Double Rocket. Good. Wow. Okay. You know what? Maybe we don't need to try out Nova Bomb. The bait and switch Envious Arsenal Rocket, if you can get the rhythm down for that, is feeling good. Get some armor charge. Oh, we are eating pretty right now. Oh my days. Okay, that's actually a 3-phase if my first DPS phase doesn't suck. Wait, oh my god. I thought my DPS phase was over a lot earlier than it actually turned out to be. That could have been a 3-phase if I just committed to that. I thought my DPS phase was over there, to be honest, because like my brain has been kind of used to like, okay, after like 3 rotations of rockets, your DPS phase is over. But like, my rotations were just so on point right there. That honestly could have maybe been a kill. I've always like not really enjoyed the solo flawless of this dungeon too much because I've always felt like the DPS phase for this boss is so cumbersome. But I am enjoying myself in this run, I must say. Crazy thing too is, honestly, at the current moment, I'm not even making use of Inmost Light because I'm never able to actually get super energy, or I'm never able to actually get orbs. If I was like a little more patient, these DPS phases would be going ridiculous. Obviously, that's kind of like an unnecessary time sink. There's not really like a good reason to just intentionally like noodle around and get 6 orbs just so you can get a, don't get me wrong, sizable, but in my opinion, not worth the time DPS buff. Tiny bit early on the prismatic pop. And bang. Feeling good, dude. Honestly, I should have Limit Break on. I think that's an easy 3-phase if I have Limit Break, pick up an orb right before DPS phase to get Woven Mail through Facet of Purpose. And then I get the bonus damage to my super, get a little more familiar with my DPS rotation. Oh my god, feeling nice. The timing of it would be a little particular. If you have another Warlock in your team and they're running Well of Radiance and they plop a well down and generate 2 orbs along with it, then you pick those up for surges, plus you get your Woven Mail through Purpose, which means you have Limit Break for a Needle Storm. I mean, this loadout, that rotation, you'll be frying. Unfortunately, technically not solo flawless because, well, we wanted to test out something else, and we ended up dying for it just by the skin of our teeth by swapping and losing all of our abilities and kind of getting a little nonchalant and cocky in the menu. We do not get to ask a yes or no question on that one, which means, honestly, this is going to be a very difficult card to guess. Even if we do get a question by the end of Ghost of the Deep, which I can't lie, probably people are getting some emblems by the end of this challenge. We now arrive at our final test at the doorstep of Ghosts of the Deep, probably everyone's least favorite dungeon slash solo flawless dungeon in the game. I'm going to set a goal that we get it done in under 50 minutes, 5-0. And to do so, we're going to go in with the absolutely legendary Arc Titan that's been dominating this episode. Nice and easy. Thunder Crash, Rally Barricade, Thunderclap is my personal favorite, Pulse Grenade. We're going to go Knockout and Storm's Keep, and then Resistance, Frequency, Shock, and Focus. We're going to start out with a Fatebringer along with Lord of Wolves. Lord of Wolves is going to burn down the Ogres and all the tanky enemies, the Hive Guardians, and then Eager Edge Sword, absolutely mandatory for this first encounter. So you can absolutely glide along it and cut down all of the time. It's so much running around. I'm going to show you how to do Eager Edge on a sword, by the way, for those who are unfamiliar with it. As far as exotics go, I think you could go a lot of different angles here. You could go Heart of Inmost Light. You could go Couriers of the Falling Star. You could go Hazardous Propulsion. I think there's a lot of different angles here. So I would say whatever you like a lot. I'm going to go Inmost Light so I have maximum ability uptime personally, and we'll kind of go from there. As far as mods go, Kinetic Siphon for our Fatebringer, Special Ammo Finder and Scout for our Lord of Wolves. On the gloves, I'm going Solar Loader with Bolstering Detonation for the Lord of Wolves. Chest Piece, Concussive Dampener, a lot of Arc and Void damage in this solo flawless dungeon. A lot of Moths, a lot of Wizards, so we're going to go with that. Boots, I got double Solar Weapon Surge. Going to try and take advantage of this for the bosses, or rather the first boss, Ekthar, so we can get some bonus Lord of Wolves damage on him. And then class item, Reaper, Time Dilation, Bomber. Nice and easy. Only big thing on the artifact is make sure we got Defibrillating Blast, so we get that healing whenever we detonate Bolt Charge, which is so frequently on Arc Titan. Let's go ahead and boot it up. Let's get these knights right here. And then we're just looking for the ogre. There he is. And then the second we kill him, we see where the green trail goes, and we just follow the green trail until we see the symbol in the sky. And we got, I like calling this pizza. I also really like typing them in chat, by the way, just to guarantee that I never forget them. Let's get this Defibrillating Blast Bolt Charge Barricade down. Okay, follow the green trail again. I just gotta remember that it's pizza. Make sure we're using our abilities so we get our Heart of Inmost Light going. We got Knockout on as well, so our punches are gonna do a saucy little bit of damage. Lord of Wolves for the Wizards. Knockout is so nice because just the basic punches, you can just full heal off of them. Oh, just like that. Ghost Wizard is dead. We gotta go dunk pizza. For Eager Edge Sword, by the way, for those who are unfamiliar with how to use it, the way Eager Edge works basically is right when you pull the sword out, if you look at the bottom left, you see I have the Eager Edge perk, and then it goes away if I don't use it after a couple of seconds, which means I'll just get the regular swing now. So the basic gist is, you pull it out, swing to get Eager Edge, and then put it away immediately so that the cooldown can charge. After about 3 seconds, you can go ahead and pull it out again and rinse and repeat. You also want to be airborne when you're doing the Eager Edgeness, because if you're airborne, it'll kind of carry your momentum. Okay, I think... Okay, cool. So I'll call this... I like to call this Pointy X. So again, I recommend type it. Or if you even want to, you can like, if you don't, if you play a controller or something like that, and you don't really have a keyboard plug in, ready to go, ready to type, you can like write it down on a piece of paper. This is another one where I think it is kind of beneficial to get at least one run in before we stumble upon contest mode right of the 9 Ghost of the Deep, because you'll just get a feel for like what the routes are. Because there are only so many options for all the various routes. And just like that, we're all done with this first encounter. And our goal was to get this done in under 50 minutes. So off we go. I don't know how many minutes deep I am right now, but I felt like a good time right there on that. Yeah, this one's very long, I'm not gonna lie. Although, I wonder if it would feel less long if my editor put the Mario Kart Coconut Mall soundtrack in the background while I'm running through it.
No.
I might be crazy, but if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't higher mobility make you move a lot faster in the water? Yeah, it does. Okay, that's what I thought. All right, honestly, we're gonna go same loadout. If not swap doesn't exist, could be worthwhile to swap to Couriers as you go into DPS phase. So your Thunder Crash, it's a little harder, but I don't think that's gonna make or break the run. So we're just gonna skedaddle on over here, drop this sucker, hit a grenade, kill all the moths. Never mind, pulse grenade does it for us. And step 1, kill all 3 of the blistered knights. Just have a little Lord of Wolves moment. And then after we kill all 3 of the blistered knights, we kill the ogre, and now the boss is underwater. And then we run over here. We hit the deep sight. And then that will reveal us the symbols that we need. So we got pizza, hamburger, and we'll call that flat table. It's a table that has flat on top of it. Yep, right back here. Boom. So now all 3 of the wizards are going to be up. Up we go. Wizard number 1. It might be nice to have recuperation on this build, by the way. Just for a extra source of healing. Now that I'm thinking about it. Because we are making a lot of orbs. And we do have a lot of healing for sure, but I don't know. I think it might be nice to have recuperation. Go ahead and hit you. We'll imbue that. I always like to imbue one of the side ones last. So I'm closer to where DPS starts. And then there is number 3. And then we're going to run this guy down. And absolutely cook him to make the DPS circle. And then we have to stay in the circle to strip the boss of his... Oh boy, we're a little weak. Come on, defibrillating blast. Don't fail me now. And then we're just going to sit behind our rally barricade. Now that his shield is down, we're allowed to chase him a little bit. Little spooky. Get another barricade down. Let the bolt charge do some work. Got a little bit more Lord of Wolves ammo. Boom. That is a very handsome 3-phase. Potentially a 2-phase if I throw in Curse of the Falling Star as we go into that DPS phase. Again, we're going to one-shot this dude to get the barricade down, so hopefully his shields don't hit us. He'll push us, which is very nice. Lord of Wolves' shield down, and boom, now our Thunder Crash will definitely do a lot more damage. I think I'll probably try and save the Thunder Crash for, like, right after I put down my next barricade. That's what my game plan is right now. So we'll reload this, put the barricade down. Actually, we'll just try and end with the Thunder Crash, maybe? What the? I went right through him. Yeah, we have Chorus of the Falling Star on for these, and the first Thunder Crash, if we do it... if we do it after his shield is already taken down, I think it's a 1-phase. Not 1-phase, a 2-phase. Again, massive, massive benefit to having a little bit of experience on this before going in. Because knowing the layout of that underwater area feels good. We're going to glide on over here, put our barricade in a bit more of a favorable position. So we have an angle on both of the wizards. But the elevation gets kind of funky, actually. Can you guys imagine if there were Curse Thrall in this encounter? I shouldn't have said that, because if we load up into this and there's Curse Thrall in here, some people are going to blame me for it, even though there is no way Bungie would have added them 6 days out. Wow. Wow. Oh, one big tip as well for this. Make sure you crush the ghosts. Or he's coming back. And you're doing another phase. All right, let's get the Eager-Edged Sword back on. Honestly, I think I might go back to the Strongholds just because it's a nice insurance policy if I ever get in a sticky situation. I don't know. Give me the Lodestar. Give me a little range. If I recall correctly, the fastest way out is to go down the right side, and then I think it's right in front of you. Yep. Right side, right in front of you. I actually ran this the other week, and might be surprised to hear that a weapon that was frying, like absolutely frying to my surprise, was Microcosm. It cuts through her shield. Like slices through it. Where a lot of other weapons simply do not. So I think we're going to try out a little Heart of Inmost Light situation. I think we are absolutely going to go with Kinetic Scavenger. And I really want to try, like a Better Already and Recuperation. angle for healing on that Orb of Power pickup. And I also want a Heavy Finder. We're going to go with a Void Siphon. On this bad boy, I actually want to throw on the Tenacious. I'm going to throw on a Heavy Ammo Finder enhancement. And then here is tons of arc damage. So honestly, I'm probably just going to go double arc resistance. For the loader, let's go with Void to match our Funnel Web. And then I think that might do the trick. Here we'll go Powerful Attraction instead of the Time Dilation since we don't have surges. And then here we're going to ditch Particle Reconstruction. We actually don't need Particle Reconstruction at all so far, but we're going to ditch it. And we're actually going to ditch some other stuff so we can pick up Harsh Refraction, so we do more damage to targets afflicted by elemental debuffs, which for Microcosm, any debuff on the target is going to proc that. And then we're going to throw on Limit Break as well. So if we're amplified and we cast our Thunder Crash, way more damage. I like Beam Medic right here. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to swap the Bolstering Detonation. We're going to pick up a Heavy-Handed. So we have another way to make orbs, specifically with our melee. That should do the trick. Number one tip for this, remember that in terms of the 3 different positions that you are allowed to do, middle can never be the first. So you always have to do not middle to begin with. Another thing, too, I highly recommend is you're going to get 3 Boomer Knights around the arena at the beginning of every single phase. 1 right there, 1 up top, and 1 over here. Basically, 1 at each of the entrances to the water to go and eventually find the Hive Guardians. I highly recommend killing all 3 of those before you start each phase as well. Because they're Boomer Knights, they hurt. If you have something like a Rocket Sidearm, can map them from range, deal with them rather easily. So right here, I see we have an option. So we'll kill Warlock from in here. And another big tip I have is a lot of people, I think, struggle with the moths. The basic rule for the moths is the moths spawn when a new Warlock clone spawns. So as long as you're doing a good job... I was not supposed to kill him there, by the way. I don't know why I thought that was a correct one. But anyway, as I was saying, as long as you're doing a good job of tracking when the moths spawn, or sorry, when Warlock spawns, you know exactly when the moths spawn. So I know he's not going to spawn until I look through this ring. And now that I've looked through it, I know here he comes, which means I know to look for the boss, and I know to look for moths. And the boss, of course, will always be at the most recent position that I killed Warlock. So now, we are allowed to kill him in middle. Middle just can't be very first. Take a peek through there. And now, since I know I looked through that, I know it's going to bring up a new Warlock, which brings up new moths. Be very diligent about killing the moths. Honestly, not really a good excuse to dying to the moths, to be completely honest, because you are in control of when they spawn. Like, they do not spawn randomly. They spawn when Warlock dies. So it's up to you when they spawn. Okay, there's our final circle. Now it's time to go and start getting the Hive Guardians. Honestly, I think it might be a better call to have a fusion rifle instead of the Tenacious, because if I've got a fusion rifle, then I can basically run up here, plop this down. Normally, this guy's particularly scary, but... Oh! Did anyone see what that symbol was, by the way? I think it was an X-looking symbol. Another massive tip that I have for you in this dungeon is that the symbol in the Hive Guardian room goes away, not when you kill the Hive Guardian, but when you crush the ghost. So a good habit to get into, a habit that I clearly need to pick back up, as you could see from the previous situation, is to kill the Hive Guardian, and then before you crush the ghost, make a note of the symbol, circle, and then as you're looking at the symbol, crush the ghost. It kind of helps you get that repetition in your head. Because if you crush that ghost before looking at what the symbol was, not a great way to figure out what it was. And I think I am actually going to switch back to the Tenacious for DPS phase. Reason being is because it has Chill Clip, and so I can debuff the boss so that Harsh Refraction, the bonus Trace Rifle artifact mod, bonus Trace Rifle damage, is going to activate with Microcosm, because she'll be slowed. Yeah, you could go something like Riptide as well. That would be quite nice. All right, here's where our DPS is going to be. We'll put this down. We'll imbue with the light. And then as you can see, Microcosm cuts through her shield. The second the shield is down, I'm going to immediately make sure that I super so that I can get the Paracausal Imbuement buff for 20 seconds on my Microcosm, which is going to give me bonus damage on it. And then we're just going to sit here and mag dump the boss, proccing our Defibrillating Blast. I probably could have done a better job with ad clear ahead of time. I also forgot to switch to the Tenacious. That's a 3-phase, ladies and gentlemen, and we're actually not even done with this DPS phase. Where'd you go? That's a 3-phase right there. Damage probably could have been even a little bit better. Oh no! Remember when I said how every single time that she spawns Vorlog, that's when the moths spawn? Yeah, at the beginning of every phase, she spawns Vorlog. I know a lot of people are gonna experience something like that and look at that and be like, wow, that is such BS. That's unfair. That's, you know, unlucky. I got screwed. Bad design. You know when the moths are coming. And I mean, you know, you could just be like, ah, that's BS, bad design. You could. But it's not gonna stop the moths from getting you like that. Guys, I don't have burger. Although, if I recall correctly, I think there is, if you get one and you don't know which one it is, if you go to another one, I think you're allowed to kill the other champion. Not champion, I suppose. And it overwrites. Or I suppose you could simply rush into the other room, see the symbol in the other room, and then immediately dip out, and then, like, by process of elimination, you know it's not the one that you're looking at. So that could also be a viable strategy. Watts inbound, because we spawned a new Vorlog. Remember, new Vorlog spawns every single time that you look through the circle after he successfully killed Vorlog in the correct location, or he will actually respawn immediately after you kill him if you kill him while standing in an incorrect position, aka anywhere on the map that is not the 3 rings that you're supposed to be in. Exception to that rule being if you do middle first also. If you do middle first, he'll just respawn right away also. Ah! No! Stop it! Fun fact about Ghost of the Deep, by the way. If you're ever in a precarious position and you're by water, just hop in the water. Just hang out for a little bit. You need to make a little loadout swap, do it in the water. Look at how much time you got. And if you need even more time, you just hit a little boop, boop, and then your pressure resistance meter goes all the way back. That's why I actually put myself in a bad position right there. Intentionally, I got weak. And almost died. That was very intentional. I meant to do that, so I could show you guys that tip. Whee! We did it! We're ready for Rite of the Nine. Did I say solo flawless? All 3 of the Rite of the 9 solo dungeons are done, with one of them not being flawless due to menu shenanigans, and the other one not flawless due to being mothed. But I hope that this served as a good way to give you a preview of some builds that work really well this episode that I believe are going to be exceptional for the contest mode version of all these dungeons when Rite of the Nine does drop. And hopefully it gives you a refresher on not only all of the mechanics of the dungeons, but general good strategies and good rotations and good flows, and maybe even some cheesy tips or tricks and stuff like that to help you out and make sure that you're absolutely golden when trying these out on a harder difficulty and trying them out for the first time in a while, since presumably most people probably haven't played them in a bit. But now it's emblem time, potentially, if I do not correctly guess this card. I did not get to ask any additional follow-up questions because I died on Spire of the Watcher and Ghost of the Deep. So if I guess incorrectly, 5 emblems go into some folks who comment on the video, and or subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video. I mean, I feel like the safe guesses are like... I mean, there's a lot of safe guesses, though, is the thing. One Ring would be a safe guess. Sauron would be a safe guess. Aragorn. That thing right there. I feel like this is a safe guess. It's literally been in the background of my stream for like over a year. Everyone's been staring at it. Everyone knows how much I love it. It's the coolest sword. Final guess, Anduril. Flame of the West. Lock it in. Sorry, guys, you aren't getting your emblems today because that's what it is. It is... Oh! Wait, whoa, wait a minute. Whoa, hold up. Oh! Dude! That's like a $1,000 car. I hope you guys found this video helpful. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you're excited for Rite of the Nine. Twitch.tv/Mactics will probably be doing some runs of Rite of the Nine with viewers in conjunction with trying it out for the first day, figuring out exactly what works, perfecting these loadouts that we have showcased here today in preparation for Rite of the Nine. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.